Her boss's words still cut through me like broken glass. "Eric, why are you asking about the conference? Your wife never checked in. The meetings ended 2 days ago." I remember gripping the phone so hard my knuckles turned white, my chest felt hollow, like the air had been sucked out of me. Because just hours earlier, Lisa had texted me, extending my stay. "Don't wait up tonight." That was the moment everything shattered. Every late night, work shift, every sudden trip, every excuse, it all snapped into place. And when she finally strolled back into our house days later, suitcase in hand, already rehearsing another lie. She didn't find me. She found silence. An empty home. And on the dining table, divorce papers, a note, and the truth staring her in the face. That was the moment she realized I wasn't her blind husband anymore. I was the man who already knew everything. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and leave a comment where you are watching from. My name is Eric, and I've spent the last 15 years building my career as a software engineering manager. My days are filled with deadlines, code reviews, and endless meetings, my nights, with debugging emergencies and late calls with overseas teams. I thought the long hours, the stress, and the sacrifices were worth it. Every promotion, every late-night deployment, every birthday I joined over Zoom, I told myself it was all for Lisa, my wife of 17 years, and for the future we were working toward together. But that illusion cracked the night she sent me that text. Extending my stay. Don't wait up tonight. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. Because Lisa had said she was away at a work conference, and business trips had become part of our routine. But the very next day, when her boss called asking why she never showed up at the event, I knew. I knew my marriage wasn't what I thought it was. I knew the woman I trusted had been living a lie. And that's when the story truly began. After that phone call with Lisa's boss, I sat in my office chair for almost an hour, staring at the rows of code flickering across my screen. My hands were hovering over the keyboard, but my mind wasn't on the sprint backlog or the deployment schedule anymore. It was on her. Lisa. The woman who once promised me forever. Her text replayed in my head like a broken notification, extending my stay. Don't wait up tonight. But extending where? With who? Because it sure as hell wasn't at a conference. That's when the little things I'd ignored before began surfacing in my mind. The late nights at the diner with coworkers. The dead phone battery when I tried to call her on weekends. The sudden urge to hit the gym at odd hours, even though she always claimed she hated working out. I remembered last month when I'd walked into the living room unexpectedly and saw her yank her phone away from view, locking it with trembling fingers. She smiled too quickly, said it was just a spam message, and changed the subject. At the time, I shrugged it off. I wanted to trust her. I chose to trust her. But trust isn't blind, it's a choice. And that night, I realized I had chosen wrong. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the darkening skyline outside my office window. My chest felt heavy, like I was drowning under the weight of 17 years of memories. I pulled up her text again, reading it over and over, searching for something, some hidden clue, some shred of proof that I was wrong. But the truth was already there, spelled out in the silence of her boss's voice when he told me she never even checked in. Lisa wasn't where she said she was. And now I couldn't stop asking myself the question that would haunt me for days. If she wasn't at the conference, then where the hell was she? That night, I didn't sleep. Instead, I stayed in my home office long after midnight, digging. I knew the systems. I lived and breathed data, logs, records. My job had trained me to notice inconsistencies, to find patterns. And now I turned that same skill on my wife. Credit card statements. Mileage logs on her car. Calendar entries that didn't line up with receipts. Piece by piece, the puzzle started forming, and it was uglier than I was prepared for. I didn't have the full picture yet. But I had enough to know one thing. Lisa was lying to me. And I wasn't going to let it slide. The morning after that phone call with Lisa's boss, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. The sunlight pouring through the blinds felt harsh, almost mocking. I'd spent the night tossing, staring at the ceiling, and asking myself the same question on repeat. How long has she been lying to me? I'm a software engineering manager. I live in a world of systems, logs, and proof. I know better than to run on guesses. If I was going to face this, I needed facts. Cold, undeniable evidence. So I started digging. I pulled up our joint credit card account. Nothing screamed affair at first, just the usual groceries, gas, and utility bills. But then I spotted something odd. 2 charges at a boutique hotel downtown, one on a Thursday night and another the following Monday. Lisa had told me both nights she was working late at the diner with coworkers. Working late, my ass. I clicked deeper, tracing patterns across the past few months. Spa charges. Restaurant bills at places I'd never been. Rideshare receipts from neighborhoods we had no reason to be in. It was all there, buried in plain sight. I just hadn't wanted to see it. My pulse quickened as I logged into our car's mileage tracker, another habit of mine as a manager. Data doesn't lie. Lisa's trips didn't match her alibis. She'd driven 30 miles out one Saturday she claimed to be shopping downtown. Another night, her odometer showed an extra 60 miles, while she was supposedly at her friend's movie night. My chest tightened as I pulled the threads together. Receipts. Mileage. Hotel bookings. A double life mapped out in spreadsheets and transaction logs. I sat there, staring at the screen until my reflection blurred against the glass. My hands were trembling, not with fear, but with the dawning clarity that my marriage, the life I thought was built on love and loyalty, was nothing more than a carefully woven lie. And yet, even with all this evidence, I didn't feel the rush to confront her. Not yet. Instead, a different instinct kicked in, patience. I backed up every file. Every receipt, every log, every screenshot went into a private folder synced to the cloud. I created duplicates on an external hard drive. If Lisa thought she could spin her way out of this, she was wrong. I wasn't just collecting proof for myself, I was building an airtight case. The next time she lied to my face, I wanted her to see that I already knew everything. That evening, Lisa called. Her voice was cheerful, too cheerful. Hey, honey. The conference is wrapping up later than expected. Might have to stay another night. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat. Sure, Lisa. Do what you need to. She laughed lightly, like nothing was wrong. You're the best. Love you. I forced the words out. Love you too. The second I hung up, I slammed my fist against the desk. The rage burned hot, but underneath it was something colder, sharper, focus. Lisa thought she was running the perfect con. But she had no idea she was dealing with a man who built his career exposing flaws in systems. And now, her system was about to collapse. By the time Lisa came home 3 days later, I wasn't the same man she left behind. She walked through the front door like nothing had happened, suitcase in hand, fake conference badge still dangling from her purse, a smile too polished to be real. Eric, she said warmly, stepping toward me. I missed you. I hugged her. Not tightly. Not with love. But with control. My arms wrapped around her just long enough for her to believe she still had me fooled. I missed you too, I lied, my eyes fixed over her shoulder. When she pulled back, I studied her face. The careful makeup, the faint trace of perfume I didn't recognize, the little smirk she tried to hide. It wasn't the face of a woman returning from a business trip. It was the face of someone playing a role, one she thought she had perfected. As the week went on, I saw it everywhere. The phone she carried with her constantly, flipping it face down whenever I walked into the room. The sudden late-night emails she claimed to be answering in the bathroom for 30 minutes at a time. The way her tone shifted when certain numbers lit up her screen. And yet, in between these cracks, she tried harder than ever to play the part of the loving wife. "Eric, you work too much," she teased one evening, curling against me on the couch. "We should take a weekend getaway, just us. Reconnect. Reconnect." The word nearly made me laugh out loud. Here was the woman sneaking off to hotels and restaurants with another man, now suggesting we reconnect. But I didn't let my face show it. I nodded, kissed her forehead, and murmured, "Sounds perfect." Because that's what I had become, the perfect actor. By day, I managed software engineers and delivered projects worth millions. By night, I managed the unraveling of my marriage with the precision of a chess master. I kept gathering proof, checking her browsing history, her calendar invites, even the metadata on photos she thought she'd deleted. One evening, while she was in the shower, I opened her laptop. She'd left her email signed in. There it was, dinner reservations for two. A confirmation for another hotel stay. Messages from a man she'd saved under the name Rachel, except Rachel signed his messages with a man's name. Every click was another nail in the coffin of her lies. I closed the laptop, slid it back exactly as she left it, and returned to my seat at the dining table. When Lisa walked out, towel wrapped around her hair, she smiled at me like nothing in the world was wrong. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Lisa wasn't just lying to me. She was living two lives. And she had no idea one of them was about to end. The night it almost broke me was a Wednesday. Lisa had claimed she was working late on a deadline. I knew better. I had the hotel receipt from the week before still sitting in my email drafts folder. I had the photos saved from her hidden album. I had it all. But knowing the truth didn't dull the sting. I sat at the dining table alone, staring at her empty seat. The house was silent except for the hum of the fridge. In front of me, her plate of untouched food went cold. That's when the rage boiled over. I slammed my fist into the table so hard the silverware rattled. My chest heaved, my throat tight. For a split second, all I wanted was to grab my phone, call her, and scream, "I know everything, Lisa. You can stop lying now." I even dialed her number. My thumb hovered over the call button. But then, something stopped me. A voice inside whispered, "Not yet. If you explode now, she'll twist it. She'll cry. She'll play the victim. And she'll walk away clean while you're left looking like the unhinged husband." I set the phone down, breathing hard. No. This wasn't the time to lose control. So I did what I always did when problems threatened to overwhelm me. I treated it like work. I opened my laptop and created a document. At the top, I typed in bold, "The end game." Underneath, I started outlining steps. Gather undeniable evidence. Screenshots, receipts, phone records. Enough to crush any excuse. Secure finances. Freeze joint accounts, redirect paychecks, separate my assets. Consult an attorney quietly. Learn the laws, learn my rights, stay one step ahead. Wait for her next lie. Let her believe she still controlled the narrative. Strike when she least expects it. By the time I finished, my anger had cooled into something sharper, clarity. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of watching me unravel. If Lisa wanted to play games, she had just met her opponent. And unlike her, I played to win. The hardest part wasn't collecting proof. The hardest part was pretending I didn't already know. Every morning, I'd watch her pour coffee into her favorite mug, humming some tune, scrolling through her phone with that faint smile. She thought she was clever, sneaking texts under the table, setting her phone face down every time I walked into the room. But I was already 2 steps ahead. I'd mirrored her phone to my laptop weeks ago using software most people in my field didn't even know existed. Every late-night text to conference team actually pinged on my screen. Every hotel reservation confirmation, every rideshare receipt, it was all there, building the case against her. But I didn't just want to know. I wanted her to reveal herself. So I laid traps. One night, I casually mentioned a new project at work, claiming it might take me out of town for a couple of days. I watched her face light up for half a second before she caught herself. That flicker was all I needed. Really? That soon? She asked, stirring her tea. Yeah, I said smoothly. Might even be an overnight stay. She tried to mask the relief, but her eyes betrayed her. That night, while she thought I was asleep, she spent an hour texting. My screen mirrored every word, he'll be gone Thursday. We'll have the whole night. Perfect. I also started moving money, quietly, carefully. Half of our joint savings vanished into an account with only my name on it. Credit cards she thought she had access to suddenly expired. I wanted her to feel secure right up until the rug was pulled out from under her. The last piece was the lawyer. I scheduled an appointment under the guise of a work lunch. Sitting across from a sharp-eyed attorney named Rachel, I slid the folder of evidence across the table. She flipped through the screenshots, the receipts, the mirrored messages. Her eyebrows shot up. Eric, this is airtight. If you want to file, she won't stand a chance. That was the first time I felt it, not just anger, not just betrayal, but power. Lisa thought she was orchestrating this secret affair behind my back. But in reality, every step she took was leading her exactly where I wanted her. The funny thing about betrayal is how predictable it becomes once you stop being blind. Lisa thought she was juggling her double life with skill, but I could see the cracks widening every day. The hurried excuses, the nervous glances, the way she suddenly became too tired for anything that resembled a normal marriage. And I played my part flawlessly. I was the busy husband, swamped with deadlines, grateful for a wife who understood. I gave her room to hang herself with her own rope. One night, she came home late, hair slightly damp, clothes wrinkled like she'd been in someone else's arms. She muttered something about a late client dinner. I didn't even flinch. Instead, I smiled. Hope it went well. You deserve a break from the grind. That smile. It scared her. I could tell. She wasn't used to indifference from me. But the storm was building. Because while she thought she was getting away with murder, I was gathering allies. Rachel, my lawyer, sharpened every detail of my case. We dug into Lisa's spending, and the more we uncovered, the more reckless she looked. Secret charges, hotel receipts, spa treatments that didn't match her work trips. And then came the break I didn't expect. Lisa's boss, an honest man I'd met at a company dinner once, called me. Not because he suspected an affair, but because he was genuinely concerned. Eric, he said, lowering his voice, Lisa's been missing more work than she admits. Conferences, trips, sick days, half of them don't exist. I didn't want to interfere, but is everything all right at home? I gripped the phone, forcing calm. "I appreciate you telling me," I said. "I'll handle it." Handle it. Those words tasted like iron in my mouth. By this point, my anger had evolved into something colder, sharper. I didn't want a confrontation in the heat of passion. No shouting matches, no slammed doors. That would give her excuses, loopholes. No, I wanted the kind of ending she could never rewrite. So I kept quiet. I gathered more data. I cataloged every lie. And I made sure every piece of her betrayal was lined up like dominoes, ready to fall in front of her when the time came. Because the storm wasn't just coming. I was the storm. There's a saying in software engineering, if you want to find the bug, you have to test the system until it breaks. Lisa was my bug. And I was about to break her system. By now, I had months of evidence stacked neatly in encrypted folders. Screenshots of her texts, receipts from her secret outings, even timestamps that proved she wasn't where she claimed to be. I didn't need more proof. I needed the perfect moment. That's when the idea hit me, bait her. So one evening, over dinner, I casually mentioned, the company's sending me to San Francisco next week. Big contract, high stakes. I'll be gone for 4 days. Her fork clinked against the plate. Oh. That's sudden. I kept my face calm, sipping my wine. Yeah. Stressful, too. But hey, it pays the bills. She nodded, too quickly, her eyes flicking away. I knew exactly what she was thinking, 4 days of freedom. The trap was set. That week, instead of flying anywhere, I worked remotely from a friend's apartment across town. My laptop was logged into work systems, my phone pinged with Slack notifications, but my real focus was on Lisa. Sure enough, by the second night, she couldn't resist. She told me she was having a girls' night with a coworker. I watched from my car as she met a man outside a hotel, laughing like a teenager sneaking out after curfew. I didn't follow them inside. I didn't need to. The pictures I snapped from across the street were enough. But this time, I wasn't just collecting evidence, I was preparing the reveal. I called Rachel, my lawyer, and set a date for Lisa's performance review. We drafted the divorce papers, with every ugly detail attached. And then I started planning something more dramatic, something she wouldn't be able to talk her way out of. Because Lisa wasn't just cheating on me. She was rewriting the story of our marriage, painting me as the absent husband who worked too much. I wasn't going to let her walk away with that narrative. No, when the final bait snapped shut, the whole world would know the truth. The day of reckoning came on a Thursday. Lisa thought I was still out of town on my supposed business trip. She had no idea I was only a few miles away, waiting for the moment she walked through that door. The dining table was already set. Not with dinner, but with truth. Divorce papers neatly stacked. A manila folder full of receipts, photos, and screenshots. My laptop open, the damning video queued up. I didn't sit in the living room. I wanted her to step into the silence first. To feel the weight of an empty house. When the front door opened, I heard her heels clicking against the hardwood. Her voice carried lightly, "Eric? You home early?" No answer. She walked farther in, humming, pretending to be casual. That's when she saw the table. She froze. "Lisa," I said from the hallway. My voice was steady, almost cold. "Welcome home." Her eyes darted from me to the papers, then back. Her face drained of color. What is this?" I stepped forward, arms folded. "This," I said, gesturing at the table, "is the truth. Every lie you've told. Every night you weren't where you said you were. Every excuse you rehearsed. She shook her head, forcing a laugh that didn't fit her trembling lips. Eric, this isn't what it looks like. I can explain. I cut her off. Explain to who? Me? Or your boss, who called to ask why you never checked into the conference you swore you were attending? Or maybe you'd rather explain to the lawyers. Because they'll be very interested in all this. Her knees buckled slightly, and she reached for a chair. But I wasn't finished. I clicked play on the laptop. Her laughter filled the room. The same laughter I'd once loved, now poison. The video of her stepping into the hotel with another man flashed across the screen. Stop it, she cried, slamming the laptop shut. Please, Eric, just let me explain. I leaned closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. The time for explanations ended the moment you texted me, "Don't wait up." She covered her face, sobbing. But the truth was already out. The mask was gone. And for the first time in years, I felt clarity. Not anger, not despair, just freedom. The house felt like a crime scene after Lisa's mask cracked. She sat hunched at the table, tears streaking her face, clutching the divorce papers like they were a death sentence. I didn't yell. I didn't throw things. My silence cut sharper than any words could. Eric, please, she whispered. Don't do this. We can fix it. I made a mistake. I tilted my head, studying her. A mistake. My voice was calm, almost clinical. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. What you did was a choice. Over and over again. She flinched, pressing her palms into her eyes like she could block out the evidence. But the receipts, the photos, the texts, they were still spread across the table, screaming the truth she couldn't erase. By the next morning, the fallout began in earnest. Lisa's parents showed up after she called them, desperate for sympathy. But when I showed them the evidence, their faces shifted from pity to shame. Her mother shook her head, muttering, "Lisa, what have you done?" Her father didn't even speak, just walked out of the house, disappointment written all over him. Her friends weren't much kinder. Word travels fast in small circles, and once the whispers started, they grew louder. Conference affair, cheating wife, divorce papers. The story spread like wildfire, and no one was buying her excuses. And Lisa? She unraveled. The confident woman who used to breeze out the door with a suitcase and a lie now sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. Her phone buzzed constantly, but she rarely picked up. The few times she did, I heard fragments of desperate explanations. But nobody was buying it. Meanwhile, I moved forward with precision. Rachel filed the paperwork, securing not just the divorce but also protecting my assets. Lisa tried to fight back, crying that she deserved part of my savings, part of my retirement. But the trail of evidence worked against her. Judges don't like liars, and Lisa had lied on record. Every move she made backfired. She tried to guilt me, tried to bargain, even tried seduction once. Slipping her hand onto my arm late at night. I looked at her, expressionless, and said, "Don't embarrass yourself." That was the night she realized she had lost me for good. But the most brutal fallout wasn't financial. It was social. Her co-workers looked at her differently. Eddie, the man she'd risked everything for, stopped answering her calls. She gambled a marriage for a fling, and in the end, she stood alone, humiliated and unwanted. And me? For the first time in years, I felt light. Free. The fallout wasn't my burden anymore, it was hers. I had carried the weight of our marriage for 17 years, and now she had to carry the wreckage of her lies. After the storm, there's always silence. For weeks, that silence filled my life. No more lies. No more late-night phone calls wondering where she was. Just quiet. At first, it felt strange, like walking through a house that wasn't mine anymore. The echoes of 17 years of marriage clung to the walls. Lisa's perfume lingered on the pillows. Her coffee mug sat in the cabinet where she always kept it. But little by little, I began reclaiming my space. I boxed up her things. Every sweater, every pair of heels, every trinket she left behind. I dropped them at her parents' doorstep without a word. No arguments, no conversations. Just a clean break. Work became my anchor. As a software engineering manager, I'd always been buried in deadlines and projects, but now I poured myself into it with renewed focus. My team noticed the change. Eric was sharper, calmer, even inspiring. For once, I wasn't working to distract myself. I was building again, building a life that belonged entirely to me. The biggest shift came at home. I renovated. Painted the walls. Replaced the furniture we'd chosen together with pieces that reflected who I was now, not who I used to be. Every change felt like erasing her fingerprints from my world. And yet, I didn't become bitter. I refused to let her betrayal define me. I started running again, something I'd stopped years ago when long hours made excuses too easy. The first mile nearly killed me, but by the third week, I was running 5. I joined a local book club, met new people, and reconnected with old friends I'd let drift away. That's when I realized something. Lisa may have broken our marriage, but she didn't break me. If anything, she freed me. One night, as I sat on the porch, watching the sun set over a life that finally felt like mine again, I thought about everything I'd lost, and everything I'd gained. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was thriving. And for the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. Not because Lisa was gone, but because I was finally home, in myself. It's strange how a single phone call can split your life into before and after. Before, I was a husband who trusted too much, who believed late-night texts and conferences without question. After, I became a man who stared betrayal in the face and chose to rise instead of crumble. Lisa's words, extending my stay, "Don't wait up," had once felt like daggers. Now, they were just echoes. Noise from a life I no longer lived. I thought back to the night her boss unknowingly exposed her. The hollow feeling in my chest. The shaking hands. The way my world collapsed in seconds. That night, I thought it was the end of me. But standing here now, I realize it was the beginning. Lisa didn't just lose me. She lost her family's respect, her friends' trust, and the fantasy life she thought she could juggle. Eddie abandoned her the moment reality hit, leaving her to face the ashes alone. And me? I didn't just walk away with my dignity intact. I walked into a future that was wide open, clean, honest, and mine to build. If there's one thing betrayal teaches you, it's that trust is fragile, but resilience is stronger. People will lie, people will fail you, but you always have a choice: let it break you, or let it sharpen you. I chose the latter. The last time Lisa saw me, she asked through tears, "Don't you even care?" I looked her in the eyes and told her the truth: I cared for 17 years. That's more than enough. And with that, I walked away. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to this channel and leave a comment where you are watching from.